And so here we are. This is episode 5, and man, have I got a man for this pod, Mr. Atul Lakhani from Sanjay Foods. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm really appreciate you giving up your time. You've just come out of a high-powered business meeting, which I've just sat and watched. So, thank you. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Now, CEO of Sanjay Foods and IXL. Sanjay Foods, let's start there. Where did Sanjay Foods where did it start?
So Sanjay Foods first started back in 2000.
Okay.
It's sort of a typically Indian thing you do, where you name a business after your firstborn son.
Okay.
And
that's where it comes from.
That's where the name comes from. And sort of prior to that, my career within the hospitality industry had been with a family-run business called Bobby's Restaurant in Leicester, established since 1976. And, like with sort of natural progression, you end up wanting to do your own.
Yeah. As
you feel you'll do it in a better way.
Yeah.
And hence that's where Sanjay Foods was born.
I've got to say, as a supplier, it's always a pleasure to work with, and this isn't to denigrate any other supplier, but if I turn up to a job and it's Sanjay Foods, I know we're going to get fed, and we're going to get fed well, and we're going to get looked after. And more than once, you've been serving us yourself with your sleeves rolled up and handing out food and making sure that all the suppliers are taken care of. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. At least I'm sure the other suppliers do, even though probably nobody ever tells you. But how important is that for you to take care of the suppliers coming in and working in here?
It's imperative, Andy, because we do some magnificent events where equally, if anything goes wrong, you take the flak, but where you get a huge amount of goodwill and credit. And I see each and every supplier as being an integral part of that.
Okay.
And, they've travelled many a mile away from their families in the hope of either getting the best picture, capturing the best video, providing the best decor or the entertainment. And, you've really got to live and breathe that and be purely committed to that to deliver at the level I know we do in our industry. And so I see us all as branches of the same tree. Some of us may have to do a little bit more than others, but it doesn't matter. And the basic sort of courtesy on my part is it's important for me to feed these people and make them feel important, because without them the event doesn't work.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. Well, again, just to reiterate, I appreciate it anyway.
No, to be honest, we've become renowned for that. And this was not done. I'll give you a brief example. So with my father's business, Bobby's in Leicester, in the 80s, we used to get a lot of families, it was like a deli and a sweet store with also all serving Indian desserts and Indian savouries and meals and so on. And we'd get families come in and they'd have often 4 or 5 children, and they'd buy half a pound, half a kilo of a particular type of savoury. And my father would insist on giving all the kids a lovely sort of Indian dessert called penda.
Yeah.
Pera, as some would need, pere. And, the cost of those far outweighed what they spent with us.
Yeah.
But it was just, it was just his way. And I think I've inherited my mum and dad's generosity in terms of, always wanting to go that extra mile.
But that paying it out there reaps its own benefits, doesn't it? Because then those customers return and you see people time and time again.
Indeed. I mean, I had 2 weddings in the last few years where people saw the photo of my late father on my WhatsApp, and they booked me even without food tasting.
Really?
They said, if you've got a heart as big as your dad, then you're good enough for us. And
that's lovely.
And that wasn't a marketing ploy. It was just happened. And,
Fantastic. So your dad then mentored your way. I mean, what did you start right at the very bottom, cleaning toilets and doing all the menial jobs in the restaurant, or? Were you parachuted in slightly above that?
Not quite, but that said, I mean, for me, the commitment to sort of food hygiene and things is always, at the forefront of everything I do. And so, yes, in many ways, whilst I didn't scrub the toilets, I may have on occasion, but my job was pretty much hands-on. So I came in with an economics degree, and I wasn't sort of propelled in, an immediate managerial role, although I guess I was the manager, but I did everything and anything and everything. But I did set about wanting to raise the bar and raise the standard if I was to join the family business.
Yeah. So that economics degree obviously then has given you the grounding to build up what is now, Sanjay Foods is huge, IXL is a fabulous venue. So that business acumen has just built and built and built, I'm guessing.
100%. And so anybody who says, oh, don't do this degree and don't do that, I mean, are you going to become a doctor? That was the favourite question in my generation, Oh, so when you tell them you've done this degree, oh, so what does that make you then? You can't be a doctor, accountant. For me, education gives you the tools. It gives you the ability to digest information, to understand the broader picture, and then relate it to different aspects of your life. And I think I'm a big advocate for people being educated as wherever possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Sanjay Foods as a brand, what do you think the perception is out there when somebody is casting around for a caterer for their wedding, whether they're coming to this venue or not? What do you think people's expectation of Sanjay Foods is?
I think people's perception and expectation is a company which is true to its word, a company which repeatedly delivers, a company which will, take all your stress away, your headaches away, and somebody, and above all, a company that cares. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing about our development.
And in that caring aspect, I mean, do you find, I've spoken to a few suppliers and they've often said that the most satisfying events that they've covered have been ones where things have gone horribly wrong, and they've battled through and come out on top anyway. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, in part. When I look back at my career, I would perhaps there may be one or two instances where that would apply. But as a rule of thumb, I believe in the old adage of, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And once again, referring to my late father, he used to say to me, why do you sit in that office for all that many hours? You're not busy, you got to get home. And I just think that if only you understood it, it's not like an environment where the customer comes, has a dish, pays you the money. We have to plan ahead to ensure. But equally with that comes the thing that you've got to have the right people around you to not only plan it, but to also execute.
And just walking in here today, you've got a team of 5 or 6 people sitting out there, all busy, all on the phones, all doing work. What's going on out there?
Indeed. So whether they're handling inquiries, whether they're planning the weekend's events, or whether they're concentrating on the marketing, or whether, what we've done now is obviously we have moved all our offices into a central hub at the IXL. Yeah. Because the left hand needs to know what the right hand's doing. Sure. And, they're all, I must confess I'm extremely blessed at the commitment, of these young people, who often demonstrate wisdom way beyond their years.
And you sort of briefly touched on family there. How do you go about making sure that your family at home is taken care of as much as your customers?
If truth be told, it's been a very difficult trade-off. I started my business with £5,000 in my pocket, and it was a very difficult journey with one setback after another. Unfortunately, contrary to what people may think, I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth, and nor did I have much money. It was more a case of a conviction within my own ability, and also that, that the foresight I had would probably put me in good stead.
So you were totally convinced from day one where you were headed?
Indeed, yeah. I mean, obviously, when you're a lot younger, it does make a lot of difference, because you feel
you're indestructible.
Indeed,
yeah,
that's exactly the right expression, indestructible. And so you can take on the world, you can do whatever. And as you get older, you realize sometimes to take a step back, to analyze a project more better. Would I do the same again with hindsight? No, because the trade-off is quite high.
Yeah.
You don't see your children growing up, and before you know it, they have grown up, and whilst they love you and you love them, but you do miss out on very important formative years.
Yeah. And do you see yourself handing your business over to your children? Got any interest in this business? Where do you see that headed?
I have aspirations for my younger son.
Okay.
And there would be opportunities, but I do believe in a meritocracy, and you can't just walk into the business. You've got to earn your way in.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So you've basically always known that this is exactly what you want to do, and providing service and quality to wedding couples, just wedding couples, or other events too.
When I graduated, I had a job lined up in the city. The hospitality route was not something I envisaged myself doing.
Okay.
I remember my parents never being around because they were busy running the restaurant.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that I particularly liked. But then my father fell ill, and, the rest is history, as they say. But once I did jump into this big ocean, I was determined that I wanted to be known as one of the best in the industry.
Yeah.
I think it's those who think they are the best in the industry, I think that's very naive, because there's so many talented people in our industry.
Completely.
And, and you can have multiple of people who are supremely confident and fantastic. They are leaders. They're leaders in many fields and in their own rights. But I don't think it's not right to sort of claim to be the best or want to be the sole best. I just wanted to be one of the best.
Yeah.
And I think we've, I don't know. What do you think, Andy? I'll put it back to you.
That's rude. I think you're there. And I was going to ask, quite often at weddings that I've filmed here, I see you sort of standing at the back, just sort of looking at what's going on. How much pride do you feel when we're mid-wedding, mid-party, everything's banging, there's lights, music, people enjoying themselves. How much pride do you feel in your heart for that?
Oh, immense amount of pride, because you see the faces of those the mums and dads, the grandparents, the bride and groom, all this effort they've put into planning this event, all this money they've saved and spent, and you got to pinch yourself, because you bring so much satisfaction for that period in their lives that 9 times out of 10 they'll never forget you for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I can completely agree. Also, I've seen you with your phone out filming. Here, I think last time when I was here, Malkeet Singh was here, and you were there with your phone and filming. So presumably some of that went out on your. I've got to confess, I don't actually follow your socials too much, because I think you're on LinkedIn, and I don't much go on LinkedIn. But how much of that winds up on social media, and how much of that filming helps to propel the business forward?
As a business, if I'm honest, we've embraced it most lately. We've not been that brilliant at sort of advertising ourselves. It was LinkedIn which showed me the power of social media, and that, one of my posts reached over 100,000 people.
Okay.
And, in fact, we catered at Downing Street on Monday, as you do. And I posted it yesterday. And
that was
already,
a nice little name drop there, just...
Indeed, Atul for the next Prime Minister.
Yeah.
But can't be worse than Liz Truss, can I? So
No.
I'll take that one. Yeah, and already 14,000 people have viewed it, posted late yesterday.
Yeah.
So it made me understand the power of that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm old school.
Okay.
The brochures, the wedding
Printed
fairs,
media, yeah.
and word of mouth, and which is all great. And it's certainly you need to do it all in conjunction with each other.
Yeah.
But if you do not embrace the digital era, you're going to get left behind.
How often would you say that families use you again and again and again? Because some families have sons, daughters, all getting wedded. So how often do you sort of get repeat business?
I think about 40% of our business is all repeat business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That much?
Yeah, I've done family weddings where I've done 3 daughters in the same family.
Wow.
2 of them at the same venue at IXL.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I think, it's that repeat business is fundamentally important, and actually it goes to demonstrate that you're clearly doing things which are right.
Completely, absolutely, yeah.
We're not by any stretch of the imagination the cheapest.
No.
But then you can't have quality, compliance, and commitment at a discounted price.
No. And with inflation going the way it is at the minute, I think today's headline was 10.1% or something.
Yeah, I've seen.
How is that affecting, I wouldn't say your profit margin, but how is that affecting what you've got to charge on to the customer?
I would say the profit margin, because the bottom line has been impacted ridiculously.
Yeah.
And the problem is, although in our contracts we stipulate we can charge you more.
Yeah. You don't want to.
No, it's not something we're going to start doing, certainly in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Because, and it's a really difficult one because, when you think of the hospitality industry, we bore the brunt of the pain, perhaps second only to people who lost loved ones and the NHS and so on. But, we were totally prohibited from trading.
Yeah.
So we had millions of pounds wiped away from our business, unimaginable refunds. I mean, I think I repaid over 480 grand.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but we did. I was ethical about it.
Yeah.
Could have folded one company to another to done this, but no, I'm proud to say that we have been ethical about what we've done.
I think somebody said, I think it was Amar from Make It Real, was saying that he found during COVID a lot of suppliers came together and he felt that the relationships were built between suppliers just to help each other get through that period. Because I've said time and time again on this pod, I went 14 months without shooting a single frame of video. It was absolutely mad. So you clearly had the resilience within the business to keep going no matter what.
So resilience, the tenacity. We pivoted into an award-winning takeaway business in Sanjay Foods, which was a highlight for us in the pandemic. Not only did it give us much urgently needed little bits of revenue, we were sort of ignored in our quest to get grants and things because, it was a lottery postcode.
Yeah.
But it kept our sanity, the takeaway. And more importantly, it kept some of our part-time chefs busy.
Yeah.
Didn't qualify for furlough.
Yeah.
And above all, it reignited my passion in my own hometown that we became, we won a Chamber of Commerce award for excellence in customer service, and we were up against some big companies.
Yeah.
And obviously, had that been today, would have blasted it everywhere. But even then, certainly within the business community, we really, we really shown out well. And subsequently through that, you and I both understand that our repeat business is not necessarily next week or next month. You know, it could be the year after or even the year after.
Yeah.
And so I know that, we did definitely build up that goodwill in the brand.
So going back to offering takeaways then, so you upped sticks from here and moved into town, or how did you...
We basically did it all through the Leicester head office, the production unit in Leicester, and that's where we're working. If you came in on those nights, may not recognise me because I was probably doubly masked up and working in the kitchen.
And sleeves up again.
Yeah, sleeves up, rolled up, back to... And you know what? That was so enjoyable.
Yeah.
Being over those hot stoves and, you've got the air extract system blaring away on top of your head and, you've got all your sort of, I forget what they call now, the tab grabbers with all your orders on.
Yeah.
And, you've got the Deliveroo and all the apps going off at the same time. And then you've got, boy, that was pressure. Here we are, we do a 500, 700, fine. No issue.
Fantastic.
Huge events. I did the Ambani family wedding last year. The owners of Asda. We've just done a big event at Downing Street. We do some amazing work.
Yeah.
And yet the pressure was in that takeaway, getting that bloody butter chicken out.
Yeah. So, talk to me about the pressure at Downing Street. Did you feel pressure there, or were you comfortable in knowing that what you were doing was absolutely on point and you could relax?
Again, fail to plan, plan to fail.
Okay.
We planned these things. It was done, executed. I was told that we were the best caterer they've ever had.
Fantastic.
Now, I don't know how far true that is, but... Yeah. I think so. You know what? We absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
We nailed it. And for me, there's never any pressure. When you've cooked for perhaps one of the richest men in the world, in the Ambanis,
yeah,
and in the UK with the Asda family, the Issa brothers, the owners of the huge petrol station chain. And, prior to that, I remember back in 2010, we used to do a lot of work for Lakshmi Mittal when he was UK's richest man.
Yeah.
So we're not fazed by who people are.
Right.
And as long as you have faith in your own ability and the people around you.
Yeah.
And, like my late mother always used to say, do work with niyat. Niyat means like integrity.
Okay.
And I think that has to be at the forefront of your thinking.
It's funny that because somebody else, I think it was Gervais Johal, used very similar, work with integrity, and it's such a good maxim. Such a good maxim to work.
And Gervais is amazing, good friend of mine.
Yeah, he is. He's a top lad. So, as regards IXL, you've got multiple suppliers coming in here. Week after week after week. Some you'll know, some you won't. How challenging is it to accommodate? Can they be difficult? Is it generally quite smooth? Decor companies coming in, DJs coming in, videographers like myself saying, no, I need that space for this camera, and can we do this and can we do that? How do you... you've got a fantastic team that helps out, but how challenging is that to manage on a weekly basis?
I think because the venue is very accessible, easy to come in, easy to unload. I think, we're quite fortunate in that. And the team are great, so they sort of foster good relations with people. I do agree with you, the videographers and especially the guys with the big jibs, they're like prima donnas themselves,
Couldn't help yourself.
I think they're, they make the... mother-in-law look good, but no, that's a joke. No, look, it's a machinery that works fairly smoothly.
Yeah.
We have preferred suppliers, of course, and we are going to strengthen that relationship soon because for me, it's the key thing for me, if you want to work at the IXL, you've got to respect our property, you've got to respect us, you've got to adhere to timelines and guidelines that, look, we need you to. And no system's infallible. We had an event where certain things happened where the timings were out and so on, and we learned from them. And I think one of our strengths, or perhaps my strength, is to learn from my mistakes. So if it happened once, it'll never happen again.
Excellent. What's the career highlight for yourself, would you say? Like, if there's one event that you could pick out from all of your time in the hospitality business, where would you go and kind of go, yep, that was the one where I thought, yep, we did it?
I can't name one. It's got to be three.
Three?
Top three.
That's just showing off. Go on then.
Obviously, the Downing Street has got to be up there.
Yeah.
Because as a young immigrant coming from East Africa, from Uganda, You never envisaged that one day you'd be going to number 10. You see it on TV. We see sort of whether Boris resigning there or new prime minister coming in, and who forgets David Cameron's speeches, or and then the dread of thinking that Jeremy Corbyn may be standing there one day. but so to then know exactly where you see those ministers coming from the right, where it is, you've come through security, and then so the kitchens are there. I mean, the place is like a TARDIS. It's massive. It's flipping massive. Yeah. Flights of stairs, and it all works. And Whitehall's behind there, and I think I compared it to. I said to one of the security, I said, so this is like the UK's version of White House. He goes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was going to ask him, where's the bunker, but I knew he wouldn't tell me.
Be down 17 floors.
Indeed, with the rats probably. Yeah. But so that Mukesh Ambani's niece was a big one. Okay. I mean, Mukesh Ambani is a Gujarati. I'm a Gujarati. This was like another level.
Was that here at IXL? Or?
No. Okay. It was at his residence. They've owned Stoke Park. Okay. And that was amazing. So I'm standing where you are to me, just literally 4 feet away. Yeah. And we were blown away. Yeah. And then, and in terms of people, so when we did Moshin Issa, the owner of Asda, his son's event, what an amazing, humble guy. Somebody who's worked his way up from nothing really to, being such a huge businessman today. Buying all sorts of businesses, and like he said to me, he said, we don't do this to then just quickly sell. We're here for the long run. So it was just, that was inspiring. But aside from that, I know I said 3, but I might as well mention another one. Go on. Is, sometimes when you just, and it's not any one particular event, but when you cater for some of the schools, they really, to me, are they're not one of those where you think you've arrived. No. Well, you do when you bloody have to get up those stairs. But okay. It's very fulfilling. Yeah. When you're so we used to have I don't so much now because we're hardly around, or I'm hardly around. But like the schools in Leicester, we didn't even have any money, but we used to support them all the time. Yeah. We kept giving, because anything children related, you don't mind. You think, you see them, they're our future generation. Yeah. And, when you see them and you see their teachers and they're so happy that, we've got Sanjay Foods, and they go home and tell their parents. And that's a rewarding aspect of.
It's lovely to see that sort of smile in your eyes when when you're talking about that, because it really, I think it's a shame the listener can't see it, because the sort of glow coming off you there is it says a lot, I think. Any unfulfilled ambitions? Anywhere, anything that you think yet to score that one?
To be honest, the pandemic kind of put a bit of a stop to this, but I was actually beginning to slow down some of my work. Okay. Because I do want to, so I've got, I'd like to, I missed out on my children's upbringing, but I do have a couple of grandchildren who I'd like to spend time with. Yeah. Joyous. So, that's one thing I'd like to do. Yeah. Sometimes, one of the things you do regret, you want your life back in a way. Yeah. I have a lot of friends who, when we go out, you're the one who gets the table, you're the one who can call the shots. They're far more wealthier than you. They're far more, and they live normal lives. They've got their weekends, they've got their 9 to 5s or 6s or whatever. And, but then, equally on the other hand, you've got to understand that if you do want to be one of the best out there, then you're only as good as your last event.
It takes commitment, doesn't
Indeed.
it?
And they say, in hospitality, to be in it, you've either got to love it or don't be in it. Yeah. And is the flame still there? Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. How do you think the wedding season is looking for 2023?
Yeah, I charge by the hour, by the way. by the 10 minutes.
We're at 32 minutes.
Wedding season this year's, so we went from 0 to 150, as you know, last year. This year, it's like, what's the word? It's difficult. It's great in parts, and then when you expect to be really busy, you're not.
Yeah.
And
I found exactly the same for this year.
Yeah. I mean, so it's and that kind of irregularity, that type of intermittent business isn't ideal.
No,
because it doesn't allow you to plan.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have to take on more because of all the overheads you have, all the commitments you have, and which and the other thing is, I think post-pandemic we do find people more than ever shopping around, wanting last-minute deals, wanting last-minute. You think, what, you're having that kind of a wedding and you've only planned it in the last month. It defies logic. You could never have done that. It's a case of, well, we'll plan everything, but then we'll shop around where we're going to host it and who's going to cater for it.
Yeah.
So that doesn't sort of put the best sort of grounding for seamless events.
No. I think hopefully 2024 we'll see a better groundswell of recovery.
100%. I think it's no coincidence. So we work obviously with all the major brands, but I remember Marriott International mentioning, when 2020 now, and where Bill Gates was saying things like by end of 2022 we should see some normality, which in some ways he was right, but certainly at that stage you were thinking, oh, I thought I'd be open in 6 months.
Yeah.
And but Marriott International at that time was talking 24, 25.
Yeah.
And so and then when I heard that, I thought, well, they know something I don't. And which was in many ways true, because they have people who gauge trends, who they do research into consumer spending, public behavior. So
they do. Okay. Well, it's my time for my final question, which is the same question I ask everybody right at the end, which is, if I could wave a magic wand and give you the skills and the tools to do any other job within the wedding industry, what would you do? What takes your fancy?
If you gave me the time and the skill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Magically, you can do anything within the wedding industry. What would you do?
I would take over the role of Jazz Johal and DJ H. I would be flying all over the world. I'd be doing DJing in Morocco and in Turkey and Dubai, and just living the life while the rest of these caterers worked hard for half the money. That's what I'd do.
Brilliant.
Or even Didar Verdi, another guy, lives the life of leisure. No, I'm only coaching. They're all brilliant people, amateur, all of them. They all know, there's nothing else I could do or I'd want to do.
Yeah.
We're good at what we do. And these people I've just mentioned, incidentally, they inspire me no end. They're a lot younger than me, and it's that kind of thinking of theirs which actually keeps me on my toes and
really
enables 100%. Enables me to DJ H in particular, who's more family than friend, and the inspiration, the knowledge I have acquired through my relationship with him is second to none.
Is that because they come here and turn out magnificent events, or just because you look at their business and think, wowza?
No, it's the relationships you cultivate, and the guidance they give you.
Yeah.
That this is. I'll give you a simple example. In the pandemic, and DJ H would send me, you need to get onto Zoom. You need to get onto this. You need to get onto Clubhouse. You need to. Now that was alien to me.
Yeah.
I did eventually get onto all of that, and it was great. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But and also you need people who are there to guide you. I mentioned these are people who they're there to offer you an alternative view of looking at things.
Yeah.
And also often considering the positives. And then between you guys, that's just a few. There's so many I can't even think off the top of my head. Because collectively, I remember putting a post up on LinkedIn during the pandemic, and it was something about not being able to put on holding up the ceiling on your own. And that's so true.
Yeah.
When you've got a cumulative effort there. In fact, I'd consider you amongst that elite, because it's always sort of rewarding to know people's perspectives, people's outlooks. And of course, if I needed to learn how to keep my glasses from steaming up, then you're the man.
We'll leave it at that. But no, I completely agree. I think we're privileged to work in the business we do, and the business is populated with some absolutely top class people. So and it's my ambition to get most of them on. Jas has already said he will do, and I think he's in India at the minute or something. I don't know.
That's what I mean, jet setters.
Yeah, completely off jetting around the world. But
he was here on Sunday, actually.
Was he? Oh, he's not in India then. Maybe he's just ignoring my calls.
Maybe. Well, he will be after I've spoken to him.
But listen, Atul, thank you again for agreeing to take part. Thank you for breaking your schedule to come and sit down with me. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Next time, I'll speak purely in Gujarati or Hindi. That'll be an interesting conversation, won't it? One-way dialogue. No, you'll speak to me in English and I'll respond in Gujarati.
We'll try that, shall we? What can we get?
You should try that with someone.
If only I could learn some Gujarati.
You should speak to Manny Pablo, because he doesn't speak English very well. I'm only joking, Manny. There was no karate chops here.
All this is staying in the pod.